Hello, everyone. I'm joined now by Rupal from the Toronto Defiant. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of OWCS, patch changes, bracket changes, everything changing. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about the team itself. Have you got? Am I right in thinking you've got everyone there right now?
No, actually, right now, I'm still at Winthrop. Um, and the people there, so everybody's there actually except me and Vega. So
Okay, yeah.
Lenny's there, Kasaurus is there, and someone in Merit.
And the plan is, I'm sure you're all imminently there and should be there for the next tournament.
Yeah, for this tournament, me and Vega won't be there, but for future tournaments, we should all be there. Like I should be going there next week.
Okay. And then, how do you feel the team's progressing now? Did you get like a big boost once you got, especially like someone a merit off ping, and you started having everyone on the same time zone?
Yeah, I think that was a big like change. Scrimming with them when they were still in Korea, it was kind of hard just because I'm not only is it ping, but they're literally playing at like 9 a.m. some scrims. So I don't know. You can tell like some people aren't trying as hard. And the scrim quality is worse. But now that they're here, it's been pretty good.
And then, how does it work internally then? Because some teams will have something where like they just have one guy who's like the main fight plan of a shot caller. Is that the kind of system you have there, or is it more of a shared responsibility?
I think since like it's like most of the team is mayhem. Um, and like me and someone have been teammates for this is like our third year together now. Most of like the fight plans is like him and me. Um, just because I mean we just talk a lot about the game, both like in game and out of game. Um, it depends on like the comps we play though, because sometimes when we play like maybe echo comps, like Sugar Free will talk more just because echo's really important. But if he's just on Tracer, maybe he won't say as much. But I think our like comp structure with me and someone is pretty strong.
Yeah, pretty tried and tested in Overwatch League as well. So, do you have anyone who would feel like sometimes you get teams a person who's more of a like emotional leader, like the sort of person if you have a bad defense, bad round, or something's not working, will sort of bring everyone together in like difficult moments?
Uh, Honestly, we haven't had like many of those moments just yet. But last year, like I mean, it's like it's definitely someone. Like he's like a very friendly guy. He never gets like tilted or anything. He always keeps the team uplifted. So definitely him.
And then if we can move on to the tournament itself. So you had about as straightforward a group as you probably could have got. You got straight out groups and you avoided having to play a match right after the Malga patch. How did you initially adjust then to the first patch to the Malga buffs? How did it feel moving into that type of meta?
Yeah, honestly, like the first few days were interesting because it seemed like every team was just instantly playing Maga. Like they didn't even try. Like I remember we scrimmed we scrimmed M80 and they were just only playing Maga, Sojourn Tracer, Kirliso, like the entire block, like literally like the entire block every map. And so the first maybe 2 3 days we were testing a lot of things. We tried out like Orisa, Doom, and just to see if we could beat it. And we did have some success beating it, which like you can see in Korea as well. Other teams were playing Orisa, like Sojourn Echo comps, and like doing pretty good against Maga, even like countering it. But then it slowly evolved into because it started out as like Reaper Maga, and then people started playing Symmetra, and I think that was like the final version of Maga before the new patch that came out on Tuesday. Um, and we were pretty bad at Maga, maybe like the first 2 days. Then I think the third day we got like like the day right before the patch we got pretty good. And then the patch came and now we're just back to we reset.
So yeah, I guess a lot of people's sort of impression is the patch has almost just moved almost directly backwards in terms of a lot of the old comps coming back.
Hmm.
How do you feel about this level and I guess this frequency of patch change so close to like or even mid tournament and so close to the main event?
Yeah, I'm not. It is very frustrating as like a as a professional player to like suddenly have like basically a whole week of practice just it seems like a waste of time almost. But I don't really want to look at it like that because maybe in the future Maga will be meta again, or like there'll be like maybe a queen comp or rush comp. So it'll be similar enough that maybe our practice wasn't a waste of time. In terms of like the game though, I do think it was like a it was a good thing to do. Like manga meta, it's not enjoyable for like spectators to watch at all, and it's not enjoyable in ranked. It's not really enjoyable for anyone, I'd say. So I applaud Blizzard for like acting quickly on that, even though it does mess with the pro scene. At the end of the day, they care more about the 100% of players rather than the top like 0.1%. So I understand why they did it, and I think it was the right move.
How is that situation from the team perspective then? Of like, I don't know what time a patch dropped for you, but you sort of like you wake up and you get to a point and it's like, oh, okay, everything's different now again. How stressful is it to then try and figure out like, oh, we've now got a match in a couple of days. We don't know what the other team's now probably going to be playing all of a sudden. It puts it all up in the air. How do you try and tackle all the unknowns?
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, me and Vega were like talking about it the weekend before, like last weekend. We were like saying, what if they just like hotfix it? Like, surely they like because ranked was so terrible. Like, surely they just hotfix it on Tuesday, and then they did end up doing it. So it was a surprise when I woke up on Tuesday and saw it, but it wasn't like that big of a surprise. For the team aspect, um, it's honestly it's chill for us because we were already like the best team, especially in the previous meta where we can play like dive comps like Doomfist. So like going back to that, I think this whole patch it really messes with other teams more than us. Um, I felt pretty confident in the Maga patch. Just like we just like learned a lot, and Lenny got like he actually like started off really bad at sim. Like the first block of the day, he played really bad, but then like by the end like he was really good, and we were looking good. Then the patch changed.
Yeah. Keep you on your toes. Do you feel then if you had to pick, like, if you had complete control, would you rather have played the patch we're now going to play on or the one before it where Malga was buffed? What would have been what would have been better for Toronto?
Probably probably the hotfix, like the old patch, or I guess the patch right now.
Yeah.
Without Maga, because I mean we're like the best team by far on this patch, and Maga is like a new character, like new-ish character, and it's the first time he's been meta. So like there's a lot more RNG, especially in these like there's RNG in like rush comps in general, but in like a Maga comps, like there's a lot that people don't know about. People are learning new stuff
Hmm.
every day. Maybe some team will figure out something that nobody else figured out because we have no experience on it. Like no, everyone's on equal footing for Maga comp, but for the old patch like Doomfist, Orisa, Zarya, Sigma, whatever, um, we have the advantage.
Do you think there's an argument that it may be going forward if we've seen a same level of like frequent patch changes and adjustments to fix things, that actually the underdog teams, which will probably never be you really in the North American region, are actually favoured by, I guess, sort of the chaos and uncertainty it sometimes causes?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like every time a new hero comes out, and becomes meta, like that opens the door for new teams to do something.
And then if we move to the actual bracket itself, the bracket's changed a couple of times. Do you feel this version of a bracket we're looking at now, where you have Timeless and Pirates in Pajamas on your side, alongside obviously LFO, are you more happy with that side than the version where you had M80 and Students of the Game?
Honestly, it's about the same to us. I think because like we've kind of been going back and forth. We don't really know who's better between Timeless and M80 because like their match is super close.
Hmm.
And like on paper, the M80 team should be better, but like the Timeless won, so maybe they're better. So either way, it looks like it looks about the same to us. It doesn't bother us either way.
Yeah, I guess ultimately your aims are obviously probably very much win it all, so you need to beat everyone at some point anyway. And then do you feel then most people will see you as the favourite? I guess you very much see yourselves as the favourite as well.
Yeah, I would say we're the favorite, and most teams probably see us that way too. The only obviously our group stage was like we didn't play against that many good teams, but in the Swiss we did beat the I think we beat all the other like teams that are considered like at the top. Like we beat M80, we beat Timeless. I think we didn't play against LFO, but
I think you did.
we
I
did
think
beat.
your last day was like, I think it was like, well, I guess MD or WD40 at the time. and
Oh no,
then
we did. We
Timeless,
beat
and
them too. Oh yeah,
then
we beat all three of them, right? Yeah, we
yeah,
did.
you had like I guess like in theory the hardest day of Swiss you could have had, but then you
Yeah,
just
we played against.
beat all
Yeah, I
you
remember
like
now. Yeah.
6-0'd the day. Yeah,
Actually, I think that day LFO was our hardest match. I think
yeah.
M80 and Timeless were both easier, but yeah. So we beat the other top teams. Obviously that was a while ago now, but I
Mm.
think we've only gotten better since then, and other teams have probably gotten better, but they most of them are pretty like one-dimensional. Like they're only good at one comp, and especially with this new patch, I think they're a bit confused. Like some teams are still playing Maga just because they don't know what else to play. Like they've just been practicing it for a week.
Do you think that in some ways as well, especially when you look at this Toronto roster, it feels like there's no comp that's really off limits for you in terms of like hero pools or ability? Do you feel that ends up being like ultimately what will keep you at the top in almost any meta, as you can sort of flex between all of them?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think all our players are really flexible. I think we are the only 5-man roster. Every other roster in the tournament has at least like 6 players or more. Um, and because of that, like whatever map we play, whatever map type, we can play any comp. Obviously, we have someone who, the MVP, he can play every tank. Like
That
it's
helps,
pretty
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty unfair. Like it's everybody else is flexible, but he's the one that's like actually like flexible. There's a lot of main sports that can be flex for it, like Vega, but there's not a lot of tanks that can play every tank, so it makes us pretty hard to deal with. And obviously the rest of the team too. Merit's I think actually a sneaky good tracer. Um, he's just a solid just a solid player. And so I remember we started playing Tracer Echo, and at first I was like, are we gonna be good at this? Like we have Lenny on Echo and we have Merit on Tracer, but we end up really good at it. And Lenny's really good at Echo as well, so it worked out. And then obviously we have Vega who can play all the flex sports at a high level.
Yeah, I think especially when you look at all the other teams, that maybe they can match you in terms of flexibility with their entire roster, but no team has the option to do it with 5 players and just swap it mid-map or do one thing attack, one thing defense, or different rounds of KOF or anything. So it's like a pretty enviable position.
Yeah. Sorry, let's just went out.
Nighttime now.
Yeah.
And then if I had to ask you then, of all the other teams, is there any that you're worried about playing against, or who do you think might be the toughest team out of the sort of other contenders?
I wouldn't say worried, but I mean I do think like the 2 best teams like after us is Timeless and M80. And like I said, I don't know who's better between them. And Timeless is an interesting one because we haven't scrimmed them in a while. All right, the Valorant team is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
I think they got a match. But Timeless is interesting because we haven't scrimmed them at all recently.
Oh, okay.
So I do think that they might have something like planned for us.
Yeah, I mean, do you expect that in general, not because you're seen as like the favourites and the big ones to take down, that teams might stop trying to play you in a traditional matchup or a more familiar matchup, and you're going to get thrown a lot of curveballs as you go through the event?
It depends on the team, but I actually think they won't, mostly because they can't. Like I think Timeless, for example, they're very like we're gonna play our own thing and like we're just gonna do it our way. Like they pick their tank for the map and they just play that tank regardless of who they're playing against, and they pick the characters regardless of who they're playing against. It seems like they're more into playing on their own abilities, like with Rocket on Tracer or their like backline. Their backline's really good. And then M82, I don't know what they're gonna play because they were literally one tricking the Maga comp last week. So maybe they'll go back to Doomfist or I don't know, maybe Ram. I think I'm a little bit more worried about Timeless than M80.
Okay. And how far, because I guess the other teams that probably come to mind are stuff like Students of the Game and Luminosity and maybe LFO. How far, do you think there's a big gap then between M80 and Timeless, or are they sort of right behind?
I do think there's a gap between M80, Timeless, and then the teams like below, like Students of the Game. They are good, but we've scrimmed most of the teams, and there's a pretty clear gap.
Okay. And then one thing that sort of comes with being the favourites and being like, I think, especially a lot of people see you as you're the team with all the resources, the facility, all of this, very much for favourites and people very keen to take you down. Is that also, do you feel then a lot of pressure because you are such big favourites? Now, if anything starts to go wrong, do you think that will, how will you handle that pressure?
Mm, yeah, I'm not sure. It's definitely like on my mind because I think it's my first time being on like the favorite team. I've pretty much always been on like more like the underdog team. It's like I'm playing
Hmm.
against the favorite. So that'll be interesting. I don't think it'll cause a problem for us, but I also no, I'm not sure. Maybe for like um our like non-main players like Lenny and Vega, maybe they'll like feel a little bit different about it just because they haven't played as many like tournaments together. Like me, someone and Merritt, I think especially last year we played a lot of tournaments together and a lot of like map fives. Like we've been in a lot of pretty stressful situations, so I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think especially like especially when you factor in like the Overwatch League Grand Finals and competing in mid-season as well, and there's probably not many higher pressure situations you can really be put in than that.
Hmm.
But it's also fair to say, so far it's actually been super smooth sailing tournament wise. Like I don't know if you've not dropped a map right yet in OWCS.
Yeah, we've not dropped a map.
So I guess it's still maybe that first that first map drop, that first hurdle.
Yeah, yeah. We might give a map for free just for fun.
And then last one I wanted to ask you, if you had to pick a team, and you can't pick Toronto, but a team that you would think would win the tournament.
Hmm. I mean, it's definitely between Thompson and M80, but I'm not sure. Okay, we're going back to the old meta, so
Hmm.
I'm gonna say timeless. Actually,
Okay. All right, fair. Thanks very much, Rupal. I do appreciate your time. Good luck with the rest of your scrims and obviously in the main event yourself. I'm sure we'll all be watching.
thank you.